Well, hello, my name is Matt Tedder, and I'm here with the Texas Music Project, Tips, Tricks, and Licks, and just wanted to show you a few things that help me get warmed up and a few things I do with slide. But Texas Music Projects, I've been a part of them since I was about 12 years old, and it was through a contest called Lone Star Rising competition, and soon after I played, I was introduced to Michael Clay, and we became very good friends, and he's helped me so much along the way with cool opportunities, gigs. I'm a huge fan of what this program does and all that they represent for Texas music, and the way they treat artists, and it's just a privilege to be part of such an organization. And so I live in Nashville now, and I do some solo stuff as well as band work, session guitar, and write songs, the whole bit, I guess you could say. But that's just sort of who I am and my involvement with the Texas Music Project. And actually, here's something that I learned from a legendary guitar player that lives in Nashville, but it's kind of strange that no one knows about him. His name's Jack Pearson. It was very smart the way he approached slide, is that, yeah, although you have this freedom to move any way you want with pitch, instead of gradually going up with frets, you can, it's gradual, but I mean, you still want to be accurate with the notes that you hit. So he showed me that a useful exercise would be to just play the note that you want to hear with your slide with your finger first. So like put a couple notes together and try to repeat that. So that just kind of helps your ear recognize it, because the frets they're never wrong with pitch, but your slide, so if you hit this note and you came around with the slide, see, that's kind of off. And then also another useful thing to do with the slide, I think, is to always have a steady vibrato going, like, because odds are you're going to be a little bit behind or above the note that you want, like per se. See, that might be a little up or below, but if you have a vibrato going, then that note is always somewhere in between, and you're always moving and hitting it somewhere during that vibrato. So that helps me a lot, and those are some of the things that can help your ear train how you use the slide. So, yeah. And also one other thing to point out is that I'm tuned in open D, which is D, A, D, F sharp, A, and D. That's one tuning that I like to use, that I think I learned that more from the Allman Brothers with Dwayne. He would have like the and some of their later stuff with Warren. And so that's one tuning that I like to use, and I think it's great for slide, and because you always have this chord that's a bar, which is just your major chord, and so it makes it easy to make chords with the slide. So pretty much anywhere you put the slide flat and vertical on the strings, you have a chord. And so that's another reason why I think open tunings help. But also I like to do a lot of work in standard, because a lot of times on stage going between songs you don't have time to tune several strings down. So I think it's also important for slide players to be comfortable in standard too, so they have that knowledge of, you know, if they're in that setting where they have to move quick, then, you know, you really don't have too much time to tune. But I'm going to tune up to a different tuning now, just to give you an example of another one I use. Okay, so this is open G now, and I'll explain which string is what. So this is D, this is G, this is D, this is G, this is B, and finally D again. So you have a couple notes repeated. You have 2 Gs and 3 Ds. But with open G, it's the same as open D. You always have a chord. So it's easy to, you know, play rhythm that way. But open G I learned from Johnny Winter. I'm going to get a pick really quick. But when I first wanted to start playing slide, I heard Muddy Waters, and that's the song I Can't Be Satisfied was the first song I wanted to learn. And I never could get the sound when he would go to different chords to play different parts of the song in a standard tuning. And so I had to figure out a different way, and I found out you can figure out anything online now that he was in a different tuning. So as soon as I found out this tuning, it just opened the door for that song. So. So that was the first song, not quite learned, played that way, but that was the first song I learned on slide. And from there, I heard Johnny Winter. But those guys, as far as influences, you can't go wrong with Muddy Waters, Johnny Winter, Duane Allman, or Derek Trucks. There's just so many, and that other name I mentioned, Jack Pearson, he has this great Just such a great feel on the guitar, and just the kindest of people. So that's open G. And one last thing I guess we'll take a look at is playing just in standard. But okay, so for standard, if we're in A, so take any of your favorite blues lick and try to repeat it with the slide. So some work, some don't, but I find that this helps me a lot with hitting the notes that I want to hear. Like I said, the frets are never wrong with their pitch. I mean, the intonation on the guitar might be a little off, but they're kind of your guide to what you want to hear out of your slide. So I played that with my fingers, now with the slide. And just take any lick and just repeat it with your slide. So there's really no limit of what you can do with the slide. Open tunings, they're fun, but there's still so much you can do with standard tunings and using your open strings in G and in D. So you still can do a whole lot in G and D. So there you go. You can from open G, open D, and standard, and so I hope you learned something today.